Hi, I'm Venkat, and today I'm going to go ahead and talk about what are the warning signs, three warning signs that your deal is going to fall apart, and perhaps even look at how do you prevent it from falling apart. So when it comes to deal and deal progression, one of the mistakes that people do is to measure progress through all of the work that they put in. In fact, what you should realize is that activity is not a proxy for progress. Instead, what you should look at is measuring progress not through your actions, but through your customers' actions, reactions, and perceptions. That exactly tells you whether you are moving a deal forward or not. For example, let's say you are working on a really large cloud deal where you are putting in a lot of effort to positioning your value proposition, positioning your differentiation, going ahead and suggesting all of the references, perhaps even inviting the customer to an executive briefing. Please remember, all of those are necessary. But what you should look at is what is the customer doing alongside? What progress are they making? How exactly are they connected to you as they make progress? And very clearly, what actions they are taking that gets you closer to winning the deal. That's what is important. Now let's deep dive on the first one, which is all about customer inaction. So when you think about customer inaction, the way it shows up is that they no longer are happy about meeting you. They sometimes act as gatekeepers. You're possibly not spending time with decision makers. Irrespective, what you're finding is that you're speaking to a black box and there is nothing else that is coming back from the customer. When you see this in action, that is when you have to think about what actions you're taking and how those actions show up as implications and impact for your customer. So think about connecting the dots from you, your actions, and your capabilities to your customers' implications and their KPI impact. Because when you connect the dots, they are able to effortlessly understand how you, your company, and your value proposition shows up on their outcomes and business results. Let me give you this example of a client who I was working with. This client actually goes ahead and focuses on selling a lot of software, and they are moving from what we call on-premise software to cloud software, right? Here in this case, there's an amazing value proposition that they were positioning on the cloud, on how they could move away from CapEx to OpEx. They were looking at how it will simplify cash flow to the customer. But predominantly, what they found is that there was no reaction from the customer, right? Only then that they realized, hey, it's not about new value proposition. It is about current value realization, right? The customer is invested. Have they realized the value of what they have invested in? Only then do they start thinking about newer value propositions. So the next time that you go ahead and start engaging with customers, always look out for what reactions are they showcasing, and therefore, how can you learn from the reactions to find out what you should address first before you move your customer forward. So your customer inaction is perhaps an element for you to think about what actions you should be delivering differently or better. When you see that the deal sizes are shrinking, that perhaps tells you a couple of things. The first thing that you need to be thinking about is there a business case for transformation? Is there a financial justification for transformation? Right? Because when you primarily see a business case or a financial justification that is missing, that is when the selection as well as the change management does not occur. So when the perception of risk goes higher for your customer, their natural tendency is to reduce risk, which means reduce the quantum or the scope of what they're doing for you. So very clearly, when the deal sizes shrink, that is a warning signal for you to say, oh my God, is the value proposition, the business case, as well as the financial justification, is that missing? And is the perception of risk higher that you need to look at? How do I manage those risks so that you could get back to the larger transformation? The next thing that you go ahead and see as a warning sign is when your customer is fixated on price. In fact, one of my favorite quotes is, your price, when the customer discusses price, it's an insult to your ability to create value. So when you think about customers' discussion on price, it really tells you that value is the blind spot. They are unable to see, appreciate, or think about how will the value show up for them. In fact, when we think about engaging with customers, value creation precedes claiming value. So when you think about these customers' indexation on price, think about how your return on investment and the total cost of ownership and the payback periods, right? Think about the measures and metrics and the KPIs that would really make sense for your customer and how your value shows up in their measurable and monetizable business outcomes. Let me give you an example. I mean, I'm blessed to go ahead and work with a number of deals across the globe, reviewing and coaching them. One of my favorite questions when we start working on deals is to start asking, hey, what's the size of the deal? What's the due date on this deal? And of course, the next obvious question is, how did the customer justify the sizing of the deal, right? And that is where most people freeze, because they know for a fact that this is their calculation. It's not the customer's calculation. And obviously, the next question is to say, hey, when the customer brought about this particular value, how did they calculate return on this investment? That again draws a blank, because the customer has done no such calculation. At best, we have done the calculation. So what truly happens is that when it comes to business value needs to be done by the customer. Business value needs to be calculated by the customer, which is why you have the saying, when we say it, it is sold. When the customer says it, it is gold. So how do you get the customer to calculate value in their business terms that they feel comfortable and confident to move forward with their investments? That's the key. Now, if you believe that this video on the 3 warning signs that a deal can fall apart is useful, I would suggest you go ahead and follow me on LinkedIn. I keep posting regularly on what makes salespeople become world-class, sales organization achieve world-class results. What I would also like to suggest is for you to go ahead and set up some time with me, right? I'm dedicated to bringing out greatness in others. Set up some time with me, and we will then look at how we could dissect one of your deals and perhaps make you utilize those learnings to win more, improve your win rate. In fact, I want you to win more. Let's talk.